ticket, Daddy.
I know, Angel. We're doing the best we can. I've got every girl on the bleeding staff hunting for you.
All right, where is it? Why haven't they found it?
Veruca, sweetheart, I'm not a magician. Give me time.
I want it now. What's the matter with those twats down there?
For 5 days now, the entire flipping factory's been on the job. They haven't shelled a peanut in there since Monday. They've been shelling flaming chocolate bars from dawn to dusk.
Make 'em work nights.
Come along, you girls. Put a jerk in it, or you'll be out in your ears, every one of you. And listen to this. The first girl that finds a golden ticket gets a £1 bonus in a pay packet. What do you think of that?
They're not even trying. They don't want to find it. They're jealous of me.
Sweetheart, I can't push them no harder. 19,000 bars an hour they're shelling. 760,000 they've done so far.
You promised, Daddy. You promised I'd have it the very first day.
You're going to be very unpopular around here, Henry, if you don't deliver soon.
It breaks my heart, Henrietta. I hate to see her unhappy.
I won't talk to you ever again. You're a rotten, mean father. You never give me anything I want. And I won't go to school till I have it.
Veruca, sweetheart, Angel. Now, there are only 4 tickets left in the whole world, and the whole ruddy world's hunting for them. What can I do?
I got it! It's about time too! I want it! Give me that ticket! Mine! I found the golden ticket!
Thank God for that.
Aye. Happiness is what counts for children. Happiness and harmony.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Welcome back.
Scott, you have a lot to say about this choice.
I do.
But you know what, though? This movie, I feel like for many people of a certain age, it is comforting.
Oh, absolutely.
It's lovely. I have a lot to say as well. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. My name is Pete.
And I'm Scott, and these are the movies that made us gay.
Yes.
We took the show on the road. We are out in Joshua Tree visiting our friend Jared Anderson. Welcome onto the show, Jared.
Welcome.
We were last
Hey,
year,
kids.
last year when we came out for Labyrinth.
Yes.
Yes, we're in the movies that made us mobile, parked out front of my house.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We took the show on the road.
Yes. Movies on wheels.
I always like the travel episodes. They happen every once in a while.
Yeah, they're fun. Thanks for having us, Jared. Thanks for being on the show.
I am so excited and so terrified, just much like children entering the factory.
I mean, nothing to be terrified about here. We're all welcome. All are welcome.
Peter,
Yes.
do you know about our little side conversation that we had?
Of course I do.
Well,
Yeah,
let me intro the
absolutely.
movie first. We watched
There we
Willy
go.
Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, directed by Mel Stewart, released June 30th, 1971.
Wow.
Willy Wonka.
Mel Stewart, that prolific.
Yeah, he's a very
Auteur.
interesting career because, I mean, I'm sure that he's done other things, but I guess nothing quite measured up to Willy Wonka. But this movie was not, it barely grossed its budget when it came out in 1971. The success of this movie is very interesting because it didn't really turn a profit until like probably the 80s, until it started just getting rerun on network cable, home video, and then it just sort of got this huge cult following behind it.
Did you see? There's a couple of documentaries, and the one that they partially credit Disney because
Sure.
Disney was so withholding and very calculated about only releasing certain intellectual properties every 7 years, and so there weren't as many family-oriented videotapes that you could get.
Oh, yeah.
And so ones
I can
like
see
Willy
that.
Wonka did well. Yeah.
On the VHS, the big clamshell VHS, because of
Yeah.
because as
Although it came with more of like it was a more humble cardboard case. Willy,
okay.
the Disney ones because they
Yeah.
would fit in your collection.
right,
And
right.
also, this movie switched film studios that distributed it.
Warner
So this was
Brothers.
produced by Paramount and partly produced by the Quaker Oats Company.
Yes.
Fascinating story of just how a food company helped produce this movie. So Paramount produced it, and they ended up unloading it to Warner Brothers thinking, what are we doing with this movie? That's not making us like that. We didn't really make a profit off of. And Warner was just like, we will take this movie and distribute it to video stores around the country.
But that makes sense because, as former video store employees, Scott, you and I remember the Disney moratorium, like you were saying, how they put movies on ice for a while. You could not.
They would edge you.
Yeah, they would edge you so hard. And in a pre-Disney Plus world where you didn't have everything at your fingertips on demand, you had to go rent these movies at the video store. And sometimes they had them for rent. I feel like towards the end, once it was released,
I just envision myself chomping off a bite of this microphone like Augustus Gloop's dad.
mean,
Sorry, I'm
here, that
dissociating
bright
already.
red microphone looks like a big
How did you
gumdrop.
I remember watching that scene as a kid and just thinking, like, how does that taste?
Probably awful.
The sound
Real
was so
life.
funny.
Yeah.
Wait,
But-
so can we?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Well,
Can we what?
Let's get into it.
The two of you are so lovely and positive and upbeat, and that's why I'm here.
Yes.
To mix it up a little
One
bit.
of our very good Judys. We've known you for years.
Almost didn't because of this movie.
Okay, so the story is
We talked about it on the
We got
Labyrinth
into it a
episode,
little bit
just
on
for a
the
moment.
Labyrinth episode.
Yeah. So let me.
bring us. Take
I've been waiting to talk
Yeah.
talk to the judge
Take us back.
for years, waiting for my day in court. I am definitely the
Guilty.
perpetrator in this particular story. but
right.
you have an incredible memory, Scott. Do you remember what it was that you said?
So
or
I
texted?
have the post right here.
Oh, geez.
I have it in my notes.
up.
That I
Oh,
wrote.
I feel very attacked.
I wrote on.
Go ahead. Keep going.
That I wrote on July 27th, 2019. Do you want me to read the entire post?
Not the entire post.
It looks long, but
what-
it's your
It's
show.
a little long.
Oh,
So-
it's a post from Labyrinth?
It's a post about this movie.
Oh, okay.
So I think that I was just in a particularly bitchy mood, sitting on the couch, rewatching this movie for the 100th time.
Got it.
There's always been a quality. Okay, so don't get me wrong, Jared. I really like this movie.
I am
but
medicated. I've done a lot of therapy since this
You've
happened.
done a lot of therapy. But there is a quality about this movie that I find so fascinating to revisit. And it's thoughts that I always had when I was a kid, that there's something very off about this movie. And it's on purpose.
Everything is very
Mel
off.
Stewart knew
Yeah.
what he was doing when he did the tone of this movie.
Okay.
I think I was in a particularly bitchy mood this afternoon, kind of reading back on all of this. I don't know if I really agree with it now.
What year, actually? Do you mind saying what year it was?
It was 2019.
So we were just watching this at home, and you wrote up a shady post.
I wrote up a shady post about this movie.
Got it.
And kind of, I don't normally do this stuff now.
On
just because
Facebook?
I don't really
Or
like
on-
to kind of rag on movies that I know are really liked. I know that
Well, you're very
everybody-
positive. Your
I'm
brain
always
doesn't
very
even really
positive.
work
Yeah.
that way that much. I mean, you
I don't
definitely have
write
opinions,
posts like
but-
this all that
okay.
much.
Where is this posted? Facebook.
This was on Facebook.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Does anyone have conflicting feelings about this movie? As a kid, I always liked it, but there was always something off about it. Here's my hot take I've always had through my mind both then and now. Number one, the tone of this movie is all over the place, going from musical comedy to satire to horror and cautionary tale. There's a lot going on here. Number two, this isn't a popular opinion, but I've always thought Gene Wilder to be always a little miscast. I've always hated the way he yells at Charlie Bucket at the end. It's jarring and off-putting. Wilder almost seems to be acting in a completely different movie at times. Maybe Peter Sellers or Dudley Moore would have been better. Regardless, Wonka should have been British. 3, it's a poor adaptation of Dahl's book, and I know that he himself took a lot of issue with that. But to be fair, he rarely liked cinematic adaptations of his work. Say what you want about Tim Burton's film, which I've never really viewed as a remake. It's a better pass at the book. Number 4.
Ooh.
Even as a kid, I always knew Grandpa Joe was the worst. What a freeloader. Jumping out of bed at the chance to go to a chocolate factory while his family wallows in poverty. Get a damn job, Grandpa Joe. This is more a read on the book in general, but I've always thought Charlie should have taken his hardworking mom. Not to say that I don't really like this movie. I liked it a lot as a kid, but still do. But I've never really adored it as most do.
Yeah.
Maybe I was being a little too
No,
rough
like
on
when
it.
I hear it now, it's so funny because you're just like right, and I agree and disagree with you. But at the time, when you're going through grad school to be a therapist, I'm a therapist, they make you go to therapy, and then they make you also do really hard, like, you know, I was at a free clinic. I loved it there, but it was just so much trauma. And my therapist is poking me, and then Scott comes at me sideways with some Willy Wonka bullshit. And I lost my cool, and it's just my
the
thumbs,
comments on this poster off the hook.
my
by
thumbs
the way.
were on fire. So did I start commenting on the post, or did I just come at you directly with text messages?
I think that
and
it
my
was
lawyers?
a little bit of both. I think that you may have commented on the post and then you shot me a text message.
It was before I invented calling the cops to go to your house to, what do you call that? When swatting. Yeah. Just whatever. I just lost my cool. And you are, I think because you're so sweet and like upbeat usually, I don't know. It was so stupid and so dumb. But it got to the point where I realized whatever like frustration and like arguing with you, I don't remember how it happened, but I remember knowing, oh, now Peter's actually pissed off because Peter was, you know, feeling protective of Scott.
I don't think Peter cared at all.
Oh, I thought Peter was actually, because Peter's a little more mysterious in when it comes to conflict, I think. And anyways, we're fine, but like I don't think we did talk for at least a month. Like we were on a break for a minute, and I was legit still kind of like couldn't figure out why I was angry at. But that's just how like out of nowhere emotions. Anyway,
Sure.
Then this is what I think. This just killed me. I was telling my friend Paul about this. So. Hey, you guys, our guest bedroom come out, and you guys were okay. Maybe we can film an episode. And I was like, cool, we could do Willy Wonka, and you guys were like, oh yeah, I'm okay. But I could tell it was like, yeah, Willy Wonka just gets a little touchy sometimes, but let's do it, you know. And I figured it was no big deal. We'll laugh about it. And then a couple weeks ago, Scott's like, so yeah, like what other movies do you do you like? Almodovar? I do. I'm obsessed. But I was like, oh, he's literally still like, there's still some.
Okay, so can I say something here? Neither of you have any chill whatsoever. First
You don't
of
think
all,
Scott? I know I don't.
no, both of you have zero chill, right? So. You who are like,
I feel like we're in like a therapy session.
It's like an intervention confrontation.
So when you were like, oh, there's a tiny little baby popcorn unpopped kernel of like
unprocessed conflict.
Yeah, you're like, let's talk about that. And Scott's like, whatever, that movie's cool, we could do it, but let me throw in some other options. Knowing that Jared is also like the poking at you. So it's just like casually, but also what about these? And so I don't know. I think another less conflict inclined person would just be like, sure, we'll do that movie or whatever, and not even bring it up. But then I feel like, what? No, I just think
Let me finish.
I think that the two of you are both just like.
Well, no, there's more. So then I thought I'm gonna come at Scott with just love, and like it was not cool. I was not being nice. Like I did get a little mean like last time. I remember like being so. I think I was like driving around like, because you know how you have like drafts so that you can win an argument. And I had like drafts of notes. It was so stupid. So then I thought I'm gonna just call him like, hey girl. So I'm so excited you guys are going to come out. And I already knew a 3-point. I'm like, so Scott, I totally am okay talking, but let's just talk about it real quick right now. Like either you don't think this movie's very gay, or you think you just don't really want to watch it because I know you don't like it. Mm-hmm. Or we argued about this. It almost destroyed our friendship. And so you don't want to put that on the mic, you know? And I just let's confront. And Scott was like, that's cool. Let's just do it. And I was like, well, wait, but I don't know. I'm like, why aren't we talking about it? Are we?
Did you want me to put up more of a fight of not to do it?
This is going to be couples counseling where you say what I hear you saying, Jared.
And I also think everything. Too, like on the one hand, it's like, this is the movie podcast where we talk about what movies we want to talk about because it's our show and not yours.
That was one of my questions. So do you want to respond now? Because you are kind of non-confrontational, which I like about you. I don't want to hang out with assholes. I want to be the asshole.
You're right.
Were any of those things or all three of those things kind of true? You don't think it's a super gay movie. We do fight about it, and you don't want to watch it again.
Oh no, I will gladly sit down and rewatch this movie. And like I said,
We
in the
own it.
post,
On
Now that
Amazon-
you show the
we own
post,
it.
you
Amazon
were
Prime.
watching it, which is so funny to me.
I did say that, like, I still enjoy the movie and
Yeah.
I like rewatching it.
You just
I
hate
just
me.
thought that it was a little bit of an out of the box choice to do for the episode, which I'm curious to kind of hear your thoughts
Yeah,
on the entire movie. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we can get into it.
Okay.
Are we?
Well,
So we're good.
Well, I want to say one thing too. We are proponents of physical media. We
I love that
still
about you,
have
yeah.
all of our DVDs, right? We haven't gotten rid of them. Closet full of them.
Mm-hmm.
Blu-ray collection was ever expanding, and then when 4K came around, that became ever expanding. So we have a large physical media collection. All those movies now come with a digital copy, and we get those. And we primarily are Apple TV, iTunes users for our digital format, right? Occasionally, there's a movie that we have the DVD of, and we just haven't upscaled to purchase a Blu-ray or a 4K, and we don't have it streaming. And sometimes we're like, I don't want to go dig into the graveyard and find it, so let's buy it on streaming. So we'll buy it on streaming. If it's on Apple, we'll buy it for $5.
This is one that we bought off Amazon.
But this is where I'm going with this. Our
Amazon collection are kind of ragtag.
the Amazon movie collection
They're out of control.
is our like backyard like.
It's like the boneyard.
We'll buy it, but we're only going to buy it because it's like really cheap, and I don't want to spend the money to have it on.
And Willy Wonka is a movie that kind of goes on and off of. It's not on.
So can I
free streaming
Can I
on
tell
Amazon.
you?
I was
Can
a
I tell
little
you what
bit-
we own on Amazon Prime? Howard the Duck, Krull from 1983, the Last Starfighter.
Krull.
Krull is a 1983
Nick Kroll?
sci-fi movie.
Okay.
Krull with a U.
I don't know what these are. Yeah.
Stephen King's It from the 90s, the TV
With Tim,
miniseries with Tim Burton. Yeah.
No, Tim.
Not
Curry.
Tim Burton, Tim Curry. Big Top Pee-wee.
That's that traveler gypsy wagon that I was
absolutely.
staying in.
Scrooged, Back to the Beach, Adventures in Babysitting,
Scrooge is so
Willy
good.
Wonka and the
Nipples.
Chocolate Factory. So this is just
It's like you're wandering around the video store.
Yeah, it's
in the
very
early
Hollywood
90s.
video. Buy two, get
Yeah.
one free. get one
our
free.
Apple
Yeah.
collection is like over 300.
It's kind of a little bit of
huge.
everything.
But this film
Yeah.
is it like true? It doesn't quite belong there,
I
except
was
for
like, I'll
Pee
just
Wee.
get it on. I'll
But
just get it on
Okay.
Amazon.
wait, is that a microaggression? What you did?
Yes,
Just saying this movie belongs in your
absolutely.
trash bin?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Here we go.
100%.
You are definitely the wild card. I knew Scott was going to come for my throat in a passive aggressive way,
Sure,
but you're just purely
So I
confrontational.
Think in the like pantheon of like kids family movies of a time gone by, right?
Early 70s,
Of your-
very interesting
and
time,
that's
especially for family
the
movies.
thing.
Yep.
This movie looks like it's up there with like Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Age wise, those movies are from the early 60s.
Okay.
This shit came out in 1971. I was born a mere 6 years after this movie was released. And this shit, granted, this is not filmed in America. This is part of its charm.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of its timeless otherworldliness. This is filmed in Munich, Germany. Maybe to Germans, it's not otherworldly. It's worldly.
Yeah.
But to us, as an American audience, we're watching this going, is this Germany?
And
Is this Europe?
Is this
What-
Europe?
a
Is this
Mentos
England?
commercial?
Yeah.
Bavaria.
Bavaria, yeah. And so it has this like otherworldly quality to an American audience.
It's a storybook, sort of like
Yes,
neutral.
Right. But these children, these little kids, these children are dressed like they're background extras in like Help or something. Like it doesn't look like even 70s to me. It looks like so like it looks older than it is.
Help the Beatles film?
Yeah.
they
Help the
should be
Beatles
like
film, yeah.
they should be chasing the Beatles down the street.
Yes, yeah. So it just has this thing where it's like, even as someone who was a child in the 80s watching it, I'm thinking this is an old movie, right?
Well, so now we can kind of get into it because there's obviously there's reasons for all of these qualities of it.
Yeah.
And partially the director, partially the budget, partially the location, and the budget is a huge reason. And
Right.
there's some important theories about creativity that are about you need to be given limitations,
Right.
And a frame. I have these cards called the I'll think of them. It's the
necessity is the father of
the
invention.
producers of like Beatles and U2 records and David Byrne. They have these cards where they're just these little rules, and so like. If you can do anything you want with creativity, sometimes you don't know where to start.
Right.
But if you limit yourself, sometimes you just have to figure shit out, right? Which is this film is very that.
Sure, and it's why certain huge Hollywood movies that have budgets of $250 million
are soulless.
they
and
feel soulless and
haven't
just
lasted
all over
like
the
this-
place,
this
and they don't
film,
age
yeah.
particularly that well.
Yeah. It's the necessity is the father of invention kind of idiom, axiom. But the other thing too is that the spooky tone of this movie, everybody's just like, oh, like Willy Wonka, it's so wild, and like they were on drugs and like blah blah blah. It's like that's a very like dumb like pedestrian person's way of like saying that it's like kind of weird and out there, right? But like Matilda, James and the Giant Peach,
It's Roald Dahl.
like these,
It's kind of
Roald Dahl. It's the
It
material.
lends itself to the material.
Yeah, and when you read these books as an adult, because it's like
It's
okay,
Brian Eno.
I
He
did
always would tell people you can't use drums on this record, or this album has to have all be in minor keys or whatever.
Yeah. You read James and the Giant Peach, do a book report on it in like the 4th grade. You're a 4th grader, so you're just like, there's this big peach. But when you see it as an adult, and it's like the two ants, and like one of them's like really fat, and one of them's really skinny and looks like a skeleton, and like they make him eat like garbage, and like all and Matilda, and like all that crazy shit that goes on there, and it's like, I don't know. I don't think people watch Matilda and they're like, Danny DeVito was on drugs. They're just like, oh, what a funny, whimsical movie. But this one, I feel like in particular, it has that like psychedelic kind of reputation with it. And I don't know if it's the time that it was produced or what. I think one of our biggest takeaways when we rewatched it and preparing for this was just like, we are Veruca Salt, and
Veruca Salt does feel like gay culture,
and
I want it my way.
She is gay rights. She's twink rights,
and Willy Wonka, obviously. But well, it's Roald Dahl writes deep trauma.
Yes,
the adults are always the most cruel in like ways that a lot of people look at it and go, "Is this what? How did this even happen?" But in it, the whole moral ground is flipped. You can't quite tell. Everyone except Charlie, arguably, is a villain. Every single person. Willy Wonka is so twisted and so manipulative. Yeah. The mother is the most codependent, doormat, dependent woman. This poor. I mean, we obviously empathize with her. She's the most empathetic of all the characters. Sure. But the fact that she didn't have Grandpa Joe like looking through the classifieds for a fucking job.
When they say they haven't gotten out of bed in 20 years,
Grandpa George is a full Weekend at Bernie's situation.
Well, Grandpa George is an invalid. Absolutely, he cannot move a muscle. Another thing about this movie, though, it's like. We as gay people, we watch this movie and maybe we have some kind of affinity with Charlie's mother, and we're like, okay, it's this little boy and this relationship with his mom and all that, and we love it and it's great. It makes us feel like warm and snuggly. And then she starts singing that song and she's like washing the rugs like on a stone in the river, and it's like I cannot fast forward fast enough.
It's between it's like that scene and the Climb Every Mountain scene that Mother Superior sings in The Sound of Music.
Mother issues, like whatever, little boys being attached to apron strings and all that, we still fast forward that song.
Yeah.
But when we were watching it yesterday, it's a very beautiful song.
I guess.
I think it's very beautiful.
I was getting into it too, but
it's a very nice moment in this weird movie.
Right. I think some people are probably waiting for the candy factory. I love the intro, but the whole intro. What did you say? It's 20 minutes.
45.
45.
Oh,
40 minutes. I think it's 40 minutes. Yeah.
And we are going to talk about it, but except for it, I still that song. I don't know. Something else could have been. It is just so dark.
It does just sort of stick out in the movie.
It's pretty heavy, And she's not. Her singing voice is like pretty, but it's not like beautiful too.
Right.
Like if her voice had been a little more mellifluous or something like that. But
I guess I have mixed feelings about revisiting it now. That I think it's a very interesting moment in this crazy movie.
Yeah.
It's just the director really went for the jugular when it comes to true emotions.
Sure.
So like, and that is what you were talking about in your misguided early review.
And you're completely 100%
Is the
wrong
full commitment that these actors, or that this, and but back to the sort of moral ambiguity and moral just chaos. As a gay, so my stepdad fell on his head and had a brain injury, and he was so unpredictable.
Sure.
And my mom and my grandfather was a pastor, my mom was the prom queen, so there was this sort of air of perfection that we were all sort of putting forward at church, and yet we all had secrets.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the gay, and I kept thinking, what? And this movie perfectly encapsulates how there's no such thing as any type of moral up or down in this movie. All of the straight parents, when I say straight, I don't mean like straight versus gay. I mean like they're supposed to be the straight man judging Willy Wonka for being so crazy.
Right.
And obviously they are off their rockers.
Oh yeah.
And it's totally, my stepdad would be literally coked up on either cocaine or meth playing drums at church.
Yeah.
And people say, he's so talented. And like, he's sweaty because he's on drugs, and all of you are on drugs. And this whole thing is like, what are we doing?
Wow.
And when you're gay, you live in that sort of like, what's real, what's not. Sure. And you live outside the matrix. And obviously this is one of those movies where you, as the viewer, are empathizing both with Charlie, who believes sort of in magic, and then Willy Wonka, who is this wild bachelor who you think is brilliant, but at the same time, all of the regular parents, the straight parents, are looking at him like, you cuckoo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and the whole thing is so funny. Like, what is RuPaul always says stuff about that, about how this is all just a mirage. What does she say?
Right. I can't think of the quote right now.
Yeah, she says this is just we're all playing here.
Yeah.
And so I think there are certain movies like Labyrinth, like anything that Pee Wee Herman did. For me, it was also Neverending Story and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, where these like evil but fabulous and colorful adults. And it's funny because all these films hate children.
Well, okay. So I what stands out to me the most is that I remember reading Roald Dahl's book Boy. And that's the most grounded in reality.
And it's based on his childhood, right?
It's more of a memoir.
It's more of a memoir
based on his childhood. And he talks about the Cadbury factory opening up across the way from the boys' school that he worked at, that he went to school
Inspiration
at.
For the chocolate factory.
And the Cadbury factory went to the school administrator and said, can we test out some new recipes on the boys? And they said, sure. So the boys got to have chocolate,
Grooming.
pretty regularly. And so that kind of, inspired. But what you get, the takeaway from it, and then what you kind of think about is, in all of his movies, is that he really grew up in a children should be seen and not heard environment. And all the adults in all of his books, Matilda, The Witches, Charlie and the Chocolate, they're very much like children are fourth class citizens. Furniture. Yeah. They're here. We have kids, but whatever. And Wonka is kind of like the one person who, I don't know, he wants to hear from Charlie. He kind of does hate the other children.
He's doing this all as a test too.
He hates the other children because they're naughty. Like, the thing is, ultimately, at the end of the day, Mike TV is a naughty boy, and Veruca Salt is a bad egg. Augustus, I guess, is gluttonous. So I guess he doesn't like them because Charlie is the one that's the most true of heart, I guess. Yeah. And so he does want to hear from him and talk to him and all of that. So he's looking at children in a different way than most of the adults, who just kind of like, the parents like their kids, but they like them as kind of like a product, right?
Well, and they're completely indulgent powerless parents too, which
Yes.
is kind of interesting that he does get, in this particular one. I guess he gives the children power in all of his stories, and this was the most, as far as I've heard, this is one that was definitely like an actual, he would tell this to his kids at story time at bedtime. And then it was the first one I think that he actually, he wrote one other book, but this is the first one of those type of stories that he wrote into a children's book. Okay. And it does, where was I going with this? I drink so much coffee today. Now I'm all cracked out on coffee like my stepdad. That the sort of the rules of camp are definitely alive here, and it's basically calling out hypocrisy. It's kind of saying, why are we all pretending that we are not so ridiculous, just gross, birding and farting animals? Why are we all pretending to be so posh? Right. And so everyone's qualities, Veruca being the front of the pack, are so turned up the way that Camp and John Waters would have everything like on 11. Right. And gay people see that because they're like, you want me to hide everything and just pretend to be a regular boy.
And I think that John Waters talks about when he did Pecker of letting kids be crazy. And you don't really see that a lot in pop culture. And he loves shit like that. Yeah. Of when you get to see these kids just being...
because in movies, kids are precocious.
Yeah. You just get to see these kids being rotted, which is... Yeah, and that is very camp. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I actually find comfort in the blind loyalty of each parent to their child. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's not the best child rearing to have no boundaries, but sometimes I'll be working with clients, and I'll use this example. You're at Target, and they don't have this, I don't think, anymore, but there was a huge cage with those like inexpensive beach ball type of balls. Yeah.
Now they have pillows.
Okay, cool, same. And so children say yay, and then you just end up with a bunch of balls down an aisle going all over the place. And some Karen comes by and says, you can't do that. You're going to blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And so there's two ways that parents respond. And the terrible one is a parent that takes the stranger's side and says, I'm so sorry. I'm so embarrassed by my child for acting this way or whatever, which is a shame response. It's okay to say, yeah, my kid's being a bit of an asshole, but we can afford these fucking balls. Mind your business. This is my baby. That's my baby. And all four of the bad parents in this, they side with their children. Right. And even though their children are acting a fool and acting poorly, the fact that they side with them, even if it's irrational, there is some health in that. I'll just say from like a health, whatever, because to know that your parents take your side anyways, And you want that as a gay. You hear so many stories of like, I was so close to my mom and then I came out to her and we didn't talk for 2 years. Right. And it's like, what? Yeah. You know, like, because oftentimes they're choosing God. Right. Mm-hmm. Which is so weird. But in this, I do appreciate that in this movie. Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's one of the bigger jokes is when we do first meet Veruca and her peanut shelling factory, and all the women are like shelling the peanuts, and finally she, the one finds it. I found the golden ticket, and the mother says some line about just like, just want to have a happy child as they're like downing these like
that mother,
Tums or whatever.
I love that mother.
Yeah, the mom is amazing. She's just like knitting, and she's just like.
This very casual delivery.
If you don't find it soon, you're going to have a very unhappy little girl. And then she finds it. And she's like, well, that's what it's about. It's all about happiness. We just got to be happy.
I love Veruca's father always just seems to be about to lose it.
Happiness and harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then she like pops up the candy or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Veruca's dad always seems very on the edge. Like he's about to...
So sweaty.
He's about to like... tell off his daughter, and then he holds back.
Yeah.
I love it. Mm-hmm. I love it.
So I have a question going back a little bit. Is that song The Candyman written for this movie?
I think it was. So I was seeing...
So like Sammy Davis Jr. singing The Candyman?
I was seeing that...
Candyman?
I was seeing that the film introduced the song The Candyman, which went on to be recorded by Sammy Davis Jr. and became a popular hit.
I think they wrote... Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Feeling good, that like Michael Bublé and a bunch of people sing. Yeah. They wrote that song. They wrote some good songs.
What?
Yeah. They did a bunch of Broadway.
People who wrote the music for this.
Yeah.
Get out of town.
Yeah. Bercuse and Newman. Leslie I don't know if I'm saying it right.
But. I would like to talk about that. I think the satire tone of this movie that I appreciate now that it swings really big, especially in the first 30 minutes of this movie.
Yeah, the teacher.
The teacher, all of the cutaways,
The psychiatrist.
that kind of seem to be from a completely different movie.
The woman whose husband was taken hostage.
My God.
There's another one. Go ahead. There's one that's cut out that I can tell you about.
Like, I love.
I was going to say, like, there's scenes when I was a kid that I didn't really get just because when you're a small child, stuff like satire is sometimes it's hard to explain of when you see it and you know that there is something off about this, but you don't know why. I almost kind of thought that, was there another movie that was recorded on the same tape?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Curtis. Doesn't seem to be anything in his papers to give us a clue.
They kidnapped my husband 12 hours ago. When are we going to hear from them? What do they want?
Try to stay calm. They did it for ransom. All we can do is wait to hear their demands.
I'll give them anything. Anything they want. All I want is to have Harold back.
Go ahead, we're listening.
What did they ask for? Whatever it is, they can have it.
They want your case of Wonka bars. Miss Curtis, did you hear me? It's your husband's life or your case of Wonka bars.
How long will they give me to think it over?
That they're just cutting in. It's kind of stuff like that, which I think is genius now.
I think we were both saying the woman with the hostage, that particular one, by then, even though you've been, oh my fucking God, the guy with the buttons and the computer, I cannot with that guy. Because kids love to push buttons, and the way that the buttons, you just want to push those buttons so bad.
Yeah,
but
they're very like.
But yeah, that lady.
Push.
So there was one other one where, and I think this is actually in the book too, where a mountain climber gets to the top peak of the Alps or something like that. But no, it's what's the one in India? And Himalayas, and there's a guru, like an Indian guru, who says something about the meaning of life and chocolate bars or whatever. And apparently, it was a little too kind of like that lady. It was like a little too disarming or like hopeless, because he says there's no hope for life if I don't have
a deleted scene.
It's the only deleted scene because the budget was so taut. They basically just shot everything you see.
Sure.
But there's one. They did delete that one vignette of like a guru. So.
But yeah, it's scenes that I used to kind of be turned off when I was a small child watching, but now I kind of love them. Just these weird vignettes of just sort of the Wonka mania overtaking the world, and those are big swings to have in a children's movie. And Mel Stewart was completely game to put something like that in it.
Yeah,
which I think is pretty cool.
The newscaster is he's a little more balanced because he's serious. He's got that beautiful newscaster voice, but he's a little bit warmer and when it's warm, it's very warm because Charlie is that little boy is so. And I told you guys my buddy that I used to work with at a group home grew up in maybe Vermont, where that actor became a veterinarian, and my buddy used to take his dog to the actual Charlie to get his dogs.
I think I was telling you guys yesterday that this child actor used his salary, used what money that he made from this movie, and he bought a horse, and it just sort of ignited this love for animals, and it's why he became a vet. He left kind of child acting behind to be a veterinarian. And really, all of these child actors, this was kind of their one big thing, and they didn't really go on to do anything. I mean, maybe some of the girls went on to do some...
Veruca did. Julie Dawn Cole is just a working actress. You know, she was still working up to the 2000 teens on television shows and in the UK and things like that.
The actress
people don't talk about...
Who's Veruca?
Like, actor for actor, every single actor in this, home run. Like all of the bit part people, and there's a lot of German. They talk about how the Oompa Loompas had a lot of trouble learning the dance moves because it was really hard to choreograph for people who didn't speak English and learning the words to the song and stuff.
And usually for casting calls for little people, it's kind of all across the boards of all nationalities too.
Except European in this particular case. Yeah. Because they weren't flying anyone over there. But and we were talking about the actual candy. I don't know if you heard they did start out with some actual chocolate candies, the Quaker Oats things.
Right.
Particularly the chocolate bar, the actual just Wonka bar, they actually sent out a whole boxes to start selling their Quaker Oats chocolate bars, and there was a problem with, just ironically, with the recipe for the just chocolate, and they had to recall them. They had to eventually just abandon the whole thing and just sell the licensing to some other company.
Sure.
And that's
just
Quaker?
so weird. It's so ironic.
And that's Quaker?
That they licensed the Willy Wonka name.
Okay.
And then the Willy Wonka candy after that you would see in stores was hardly any chocolate.
I think it didn't end up becoming Nestle.
Yes. Nestle ended up owning it. It went to another company first, and then it went to... So when we were talking about how they did have Gobstoppers, and they were kind of a cute little fruity candy, but then it ended up at Nestle. But the producer, his daughter was obsessed with the book, and he had it in his pocket like, I want to make this. And he just happened to come across Quaker Oats who wanted... And he was like, "Are you kidding me? Like, I want to." They're like, "We need a candy," and so he's like, "Well, this book is about candy. My daughter loves it," and they're like, "Oh, well, then we could buy the rights to the candy and make the movie, and then we'll get rich off the candy."
And you can co-finance the movie.
It's so weird that all we have is a movie at the end of the day, because the candy never really. The one candy that took off was this thing called a Scrunch Bar, which sounds kind of gross, especially now that we have scrunchies that you put in your hair.
All the candy names in the movie, like there was like Scrunchmellow and like all this weird shit. I'm just like, like the Wonka bar. That was the only one that I was ever like, I want to eat that.
Yeah,
the one that Charlie opened that had the golden ticket in it.
I want the other one. Chocolate. I want the other one. Charlie is eating
the round one.
The round one.
Yeah, and I was like, would the golden ticket even be in that? Because that's not even a bar.
It's like, I think the golden ticket was just in the bars.
Yeah, but he was opening it up like there would be a ticket in it.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's the one that they bought him for his birthday. And he was like, and there was nothing in it.
You were saying that the guy that works at the candy store was giving you like child catcher vibes from
I don't like it. There's some untrustworthy
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
About him. Yeah. The whole thing, like the way they're edging you, you know that winning it, because people are freaking out so much, like they really built stakes. Right. And they really made it seem the way the Tinkerman, nobody ever goes in and nobody ever goes out. And
with this
almost
giant,
too much.
With this giant butcher knife attached to his cart. I noticed that in this viewing.
That's what you were saying in your thing was just like, God, this is really heavy. These people are like really...
So my thing is, especially when I was a kid, I would watch these movies and I would try to imagine these events unfolding in the real world, right? How could I travel underground through the pipes with my friends to find rich stuff? You know, how could I... if there was a contest and they truly did have only 4 golden tickets, 5 golden tickets in every Kit Kat bar across the globe, what are the odds that it's going to be found? Because I'm like, every corner store, every bodega, every airport, every grocery store, the amount of Kit Kat bars that are just there, right?
And you don't know which have been sitting there before the competition.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just thinking as a child, I'm thinking this. I'm like, these odds are astronomical. I would never find a golden ticket in my favorite Kit Kat bar. Because there's just like, it's going to be in some random, bodega in the middle of like Chatsworth or something. And I'm not going to be the one to get it. And then there's like a date. It's like, come to the factory on this day. And they're like, well, that's tomorrow.
October 1st. That's tomorrow.
So I'm like, what if nobody just ever found
There's an episode on the Office where Michael Scott does that, and they all end up in the same one.
They get all the coupons.
Which is what would really happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Except you realize, like, I guess if we're going to be granular about it, the actor that plays Slugworth, and I mean that like within the plot actor, must have been, because then when an adult wins, you're like, wait a minute, only children have been winning.
Because that's the thing too. I was like, what if just some like rando, like what if I, as like a 45-year-old man, bought a Kit Kat, and I was like, oh, I got this golden ticket, I get to go. Like, fuck you, kids. Yeah. This chocolate factory is mine.
Yeah.
And there was never. I mean,
you would have taken Scott, and you guys would have been wearing a collar and doing puppy play, just something to make it a little weird for everybody.
Well, it would have been very supermarket sweep. We would have had our sweatshirts. printed airbrush sweatshirts, the big name tag that's like a price tag. Yeah, it would be that. I would just be like, excuse me, Mr. Wonka, when do I get my shopping cart that I could just fill with candy?
The new Leslie Jones supermarket sweep is so good and so
cute.
underrated.
Yeah.
I think it was canceled.
It's cute.
It was. We watched
Yeah.
every episode.
We watched
mad.
most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we went back and watched the original on Amazon Prime.
I keep talking about it with Michael. Yeah.
I love Slugworth appearing when all of these kids find the golden
And
ticket.
none of the parents are supervising
and that's
when
just
his
sort
creep
of
is talking to their grooming.
Yeah.
it's very spooky. It's like how does he know to be there?
Well, but that's the thing. We find out that he does, in fact, work for Wonka.
Yeah.
Right? He's like, oh, that's not Slugworth.
Well,
That's
it's,
like, that's
again,
Steve.
Adults putting children
like
through these like
Steven accounting.
Yeah.
these trials you can't win at, and as a child you're just like, yes, that is what being a child like feels like. Is you're asking me to do this, but showing me to do that. It's also confusing. It made me gay. That's definitely like and we haven't even gotten to the whole psychology of just Willy Wonka himself, which obviously it's like huge, but. And I'm not even saying he's gay. I think that's a whole thing too. But anyway,
I also think that putting myself in the movie, like I did as a child, and if I lived with my 4 grandparents sharing a bed, and they were like, "Here's your birthday candy bar," I would be like, "Thanks," and walk away and eat it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be like, "And a piece for you," and a piece for you.
Yeah, the whole thing is so enmeshed.
I would be I was a selfish kid.
Charlie's
like,
sad birthday.
You. Yeah, I'd be like,
he gets his scarf.
This is great. This scarf that you all knitted is great. I mean, granted, it only takes one person to knit a scarf. It's the easiest thing to knit.
Cabbage
you
water?
just knit and then you stop.
What the F is cabbage water?
Cabbage water sounds awful.
I was always very fascinated with their sad TV too.
It's so little.
Yeah.
Well, the TV, the it's a piece of furniture, but the screen is like a postage stamp in the center.
How crazy when they shoot, to fast forward, when they shoot Mike TV looking up at his mom, and you can tell he's standing in front of like a movie screen, and they just shot the movie screen.
Yeah.
Speaking of TVs.
I do enjoy Violet Beauregard's characterization. Like,
Well, the outfit is...
And
the outfit is great.
And
The
you know
pantsuit.
why I always love Violet
Because
is
she's
because
from
you get a
Montana.
shout out of Montana. One of these kids from a kid from Montana got to go to the chocolate factory. I was so into that as a kid.
Pretty well.
Happened right here, too, unbelievable as it sounds, right here in America, where even in the smallest town, the happiest of dreams can come true. Because, folks, here she is, Miss Violet Beauregard, finder of Wonka's Golden Ticket number 3, from Miles City, Montana. And with her, the proud parents, Mr. Beauregard, a prominent local politician, a great civic leader,
Hi, friend, Sam Beauregard here, Square Deal Sam to you with all of today's great giveaway bargains, the finest values you'll get anywhere in the entire country. Now, this little number right here is a 4-door
Thank you,
sedan.
sir. Violet, would you care to say a few words to the nation?
Here it is, golden ticket number 3, and it's all mine.
Tell us how it happened, Violet.
Well, I'm a gum chewer normally, but when I heard about these ticket things of Wonka's, I laid off the gum and switched to candy bars instead. Now, of course, I'm right back on gum. I chew it all day except at mealtimes when I stick it behind my ear.
Violet.
Cool it, Mother. Now, this piece of gum here is one that I've been chewing on for 3 months solid, and that's a world record. It's beaten the record held by my best friend, Miss Cornelia Prince Meadow, and was she mad. Hi, Cornelia. How are you, sweetie?
Let me just butt in here for a moment to say...
Who knew they had cars in Montana?
Miles City, Montana is a small town in eastern Montana.
Aren't they just on horse and buggy out there?
I was going to say, do you remember your last stagecoach before you guys
No.
went to the Beauregard?
I feel like I would
Sam Beauregard.
I didn't even go to Miles City a lot as a kid. It was outside of Forsyth, which my dad's cousin lived at.
So what is Violet's naughtiness stem from? Is she just proud of her
She's competitive.
accomplishments?
I think
she's
that
competitive.
she's competitive and she's proud.
Yeah.
Miss Cornelia.
Cornelia, hi, Cornelia, darling, or sweetie. Hi, Cornelia, sweetie. Take a
Sorry,
look at
what
this
were you saying,
poll.
I love
Did we cut
Miles
you off?
City is also such a like
It's very
Anytown
specific.
USA, but like
Yeah, and I think that was just the point is that it's any town USA, but I love that it's.
Oh, I have a
love that
treat
it's
for
Mi-
you
I love that
guys.
it's
I
Miles
have a
City,
treat for
Montana.
you guys. I've been
boy.
waiting. I'm going to send
All
it to you right now. Hold on a
Okay.
second. I thought, let me send this while they're on microphone.
Okay.
So go to your phones, and if you don't mind just following this link, and then you'll see there's like a little carousel of photos.
There's a game.
You guys have the Reddit app, right, on your phones?
I do on my iPhone.
Okay. Well, one of you can find it and show the other. And this is about blueberries. That's why I thought now might be a good. I just found this morning. This is a real thing, apparently.
Oh,
it's a bit niche,
Oh
but this is like one of the it's the fallout of this movie.
I'm looking through it right now.
So there's a kink, a very niche kink that developed.
Blueberry.
Yeah, it's about blueberry inflating, like inflating women with, as you know, exactly what we're talking about. I don't need to beat around.
Oh my
Someone
God.
roll me to the juicing room.
And there's photos that I sent to
Oh my God.
Somewhat troubling.
Yeah.
Wow. Some of them are illustrated. Obviously,
those are the best ones.
Yeah. What do you call your friends at home?
Judy's? What do you mean?
Yeah. Just the listeners. Just picture sexualized.
Oh my God.
Women and
blueberry
situations. Yeah. They're all very plump, curvaceous, inflated with blueberry juice. I don't know how to put it. Yeah, I'm hoping you guys will jump in and explain it because you're looking at it. Oh, they need to be squeezed, don't we all?
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Squeeze me, daddy.
Oh boy, blueberry suit for sale, $400 with air pump, belt, and coat. Message me.
And the subreddit is just blueberry, so they won the name blueberry. So if you just go to Reddit and go to the subreddit of blueberry,
it's this.
It's a visual treat. Adults, please, 18 and over.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. This is too much.
This is foul and rotted. And I'm changing the channel.
No kink shaming, though.
No, not at all. Like I do actually see the appeal, and I'm not even femme. Well, I am. I'm pretty
okay.
Fluid.
So Violet Beauregard, her sin is pride. I guess
maybe, yeah.
Pride.
Just petty. I don't know.
Competitiveness,
sass.
She's got a lot of sass.
Yeah.
I mean, chewing gum is some would say is a very disgusting habit.
It is. I am, as someone with misophonia, it's my rights. Oh. So anyway, we've literally on the podcast we have been toiling for 45 minutes.
Yes.
Trying to find some
trying to make our way to this chocolate factory.
Yeah. And then, oh God, I was surprised. I think all of us were like, oh, this is going to be sad if it doesn't age well. And I had an absolute blast watching this whole movie. And I usually can't. I was going to admit earlier and I decided not to, but now I will. I love women. I just want to say I do love women. I've done a lot of therapy, and I walked out of the Wonder Woman movie because I have a short attention span.
Sure.
And this movie, oh God, it just, even talking about it now, it just fills me with so much warmth. And I'm not saying that to spite you, Scott. I just love it. There's something. Every minute of it, the way they're sitting there out there on those little banisters or whatever you call it, waiting to get called in, and then one of the most famous parts of the movie, the clock tolls, and he does that.
Gene Wilder comes out.
He does that limping fucking thing, and it's like masterstroke.
He pulls a Lady Camden.
It's a pretty good.
The way he looks like he's about to go timber, and at the last minute goes into some Simone Biles shit.
It's a good stunt. Yeah, it's a good stunt.
Because that looked like he could have torn his 27th fucking vertebrae.
I think a lot of that comes from Gene Wilder too.
Oh, 100%. All of that was him. It was gonna be Peter Sellers or some other British actor.
Okay,
and Roald Dahl was pissed.
So my question is, why grow out a comb over when you're not bald?
This is a very good question.
His part starts below his ear.
He needs to.
The only reason to have your part that low on your head is because you're growing it out and you don't have, and you're covering up the baldness.
Alaska would say hair technology.
He needs to. I mean, the 1970s.
What the shit is going? He looks like
people weren't using conditioner.
His
hair is so fried.
He has incredible hair.
He looks like Bill Murray in what's the bowling movie? He looks like Bill Murray in The Big Lebowski.
Oh no, Bill Murray is in Kingpin.
Kingpin. Bill Murray and Kingpin.
There's an article in The Advocate when he died about the different, like Billy Eichner and different gays that were celebrating his, because there's some gay elements. Obviously, here we are, and where was I going with all that? besides hair technology. What was I going to say? Sorry. Go ahead. It'll come back to me.
Seems to me like one of those.
Oh, marrying Gilda Radner was one of the first things that he did to befriend to Dorothy.
To be known for
I don't
being
like
a gay
that.
man.
I don't like that. Allegedly, according to Terry
Hatcher.
Garr, he wasn't very nice to her on the set of.
Well, I
Young
was going to
Frankenstein.
say he seems to me like one of those funny personalities that
I bet he was an introvert.
Pretty salty.
And I bet he was an introvert. I can relate. Yeah. Gifted people.
Very specific comics.
Well, this
like
is
that.
the thing. So this whole thing, I just did this training, and it's a weird thing to talk about because when you talk about gifted, you're kind of talking about intelligence, and you can't quite quantify intelligence because we all have different flavors of it. But gifted people, there's a difference between high achieving, like the straight A student, and people whose brains are really technically almost neurodivergent. And so performers and artists, this is the people that I kind of work with, creative people who make podcasts and do all this shit. Like, as RuPaul says, you see the different colors, like queer people being one subgroup of it, and you think divergently. And this movie is like so that.
Yeah,
and Gene Wilder went in with a very rich plan for this character, and I think this is where I would argue pretty voraciously that Johnny Depp, while his decisions were very interesting and I think very like artistic, and I don't think we knew how dark Michael Jackson's situation was at the time, or he wouldn't have done it.
Right.
But because he's a little
he
bit
base the character a lot on MJ.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's missing from his is the warmth. And even though Gene Wilder is a straight up cuckoo pants, and he's kind of abusive to everybody, there is a warmth there, and this is something, I don't know if the director set this up, but everyone is acting so abrasive and so intense. And one of the key words that they use to describe the experience for people who are neurodivergent is intense. The way that not that the three of us are so gifted, but we are sitting here granularly picking apart these movies. Right. And there's just an intensity of you're a hot mic. You are an antenna that takes in all the information. And this movie has so much visual and thematic information in it. And then there's this tone shift. He comes out and you're spooked because he looks like he's about to die, and he does this role, and then he says, "Welcome to my factory."
Yeah.
And the warmth in his blue eyes, and it's a children's movie, and there hasn't been kindness. Right. There hasn't been gentleness. It's been opposite of gentleness and kindness. And that's why people celebrate Mr. Rogers or Tabitha now. Tabitha, I can't remember her last name.
And Miss Honey.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then as a viewer, you just go, not only do we know this is going to be an amazing experience because we've been waiting to get in here. We've been waiting to win our chocolate, our golden ticket. But there's someone with a warm smile welcoming us, and you just feel like, oh, it's going to be color and candy. And little gay you, this is fully what made me a gay. And I feel the emotion even right now. I'm like, listener, lean into your radios.
I do have to say that watching this movie has ruined me for any sort of factory or kind of
you can't go to Krispy Kreme anymore and see how they're made.
Any sort of tour.
I just want it to be a little more whimsical,
Oh, really? Yeah. What do you mean?
And Krispy Kreme is pretty whimsical.
Well, because the first couple of scenes, they're like, oh, we're in this shrinking sort of claustrophobia, and now we're in this other shrinking room, and now we're going to which is Bach, by the way.
And not what did she say?
Rachmaninoff,
with that shitty.
I think it's the Hallelujah chorus, actually. It's one of the motifs.
The opening credits of this movie.
Oh, the chocolate.
Are an actual chocolate factory.
It's Stun.
Yeah.
Stun Gorgina.
And that stuff is Gorgina. I just they look like little Kit Kats.
I mean, it's stuff that you would see in segments of Sesame Street or something.
How it's made. Another queer icon, how it's made.
But that's the thing.
Or Mr. Rogers at the Crayon Factory, etc. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
Crayons.
Sorry. Yeah.
And
by the way, right here is a good place to shove in a little bit of history, but finish what you're saying before.
Well, I was going to say also Sesame Street had the one little penny with the piece of paint on it that they followed the penny all over New York City.
Oh, really? I was thinking of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, HBO lawyers are coming for us.
Yeah. So when I watch, what's the Food Network one with Mark Summers where they go to like factories? Is that how it's made? No.
Double Dare?
No. Yes, Double Dare. No, there's a Food Network show where Mark Summers goes to like factories and shows you like how Cheez-Its are made. And I'm like, I just want little tiny people to be there with like
so here's
like Cheez-Its shaped stamps on their feet.
I know you guys are like to Google.
These machines to be more whimsical than they are because of the chocolate factory.
The Oompa Loompas were originally very dark black pygmies, and they were shipped cargo,
which I know is controversial at the time.
At the time, I didn't realize. One thing I learned recently is this shit flew out of control. The first draft of the book, the story that he wanted to tell, was a little black boy, and it was going to be called Charlie the Chocolate Boy or something along those lines, which is yeah. And then when they made the movie, Charlie, I didn't realize this was a slang name for a slave master. So
I thought it was a Vietnam War thing.
That too.
It's what you would call the enemy.
Yeah. And so because they wanted to sell Wonka bars and because Charlie, but this is a real thing because the NAACP really did write a letter at the time saying, if you're going to make this movie, change the title because you won't be selling the book. You will be, people are going to buy, although people know.
Yeah.
Although even to this day, when I'm trying to talk about this movie, I'm always like Charlie and the Wonka chocolate because there's just so many names for it.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize this movie. You could do a whole documentary, and there are small, short ones, but they could do like a legit, like for release, because there's just a lot of crazy shit that happened in this movie.
Sure.
But those pygmy little black people is very colonial because they were working for chocolate. They're not working for money, and that's why they're purple and green.
Yeah,
because
and
they would have made them very dark black, and it would have been really rough. Yeah, so, but it's so funny because now drag queens have dressed up as Oompa Loompas several times, and like that green orange color combination is an actual branded sort of thing at this point that people are very familiar with.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because we were also talking about there's this psychological principle that human beings collectively. If I say picture an apple, if you think about it, you could picture an apple from above, and it would look kind of like a butthole to have like a circle with like the thing coming out of the middle of it. But everyone pictures like a Macintosh, Steve Jobs sideways apple silhouette.
A Red Delicious.
And you guys were talking about if you picture an Oompa Loompa, there's one of those actors that gets put on the T-shirt.
Yeah, there's one that you see the most in
He's
marketing.
Like the head Oompa Loompa.
He's like the face.
Yeah.
He's like Karl Lagerfeld's like Oompa Muse. He's like the. Anyway, sorry, we're getting off.
Well, and in the Tim Burton version, they only used one actor for all the Oompa Loompas.
Oh yeah, and he's South Asian, so
yeah.
And it's actual chocolate because that chocolate river was such a mess. They got it wrong a couple of times, and when they finally did get it wrong, it got so moldy and smelly that they had to put so much chemicals in it that it ended up smelling like just like a chemical water park.
God, that's awful.
Yeah.
The chocolate river was made of 15,000 gallons of water, real chocolate, and cream. The filmmakers had to change the formula for the chocolate river because originally the concoction they used turned red, and you can kind of see that red in the movie.
Yeah.
Because of the cream, the mixture began to spoil. By the end of filming, it smelled terrible.
The color story is so beautiful. And we should pay homage to my Prince poster above me right now because it does lean heavily purple.
Secondary colors that are in this movie,
I'm wearing my
purple, orange,
today.
and green.
Yeah.
I remember when I first, because I have memories of watching this movie as a child and just having it be on cable or what have you.
It was rerun a lot. On cable. Mm-hmm.
And I remember the first time that I noticed that there were like factory windows in the big chocolate room. Mm-hmm. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, they're inside a chocolate factory. And I never, as a child, you don't look at certain things.
They show it from the outside. Yeah. If you go on YouTube, they'll it's just obviously a warehouse.
Yeah. But you focus in on, the fake candy that they're eating. And
which they threw away immediately. Apparently, like as soon as they were finished, they just threw it all in the trash. It's probably all plastic.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too. When you watch it, you're just like, as a kid, it's supposed to be like, wow, this entire place is made of candy and everything is edible, and they're running around and they're doing their thing, and I'm just like, I don't know any of that stuff. Would I just want to shove my hand? You're
not sticking your hand in that like bouncy ball of goo
with like jelly inside.
I'm with Mike TV's mom. I would eat the whipped cream out of the mushroom.
Yeah,
I like to do mushrooms.
Hey.
Too. You guys do like a gummy though, and you wouldn't eat the rope.
I like a gummy.
Scott
I'm probably
gummy
chowing down on those bears like Violet.
Scott prefers when we go to get movie theater candy. Scott will get a Skittle.
Mm-hmm.
Scott will get a Sour Patch.
Anything fruity.
Anything fruity. Anything
fruity or
gummy.
sour. Yep.
And I will go for chocolate.
I'm with you.
I will get a peanut butter.
Peanut butter. Junior mints.
I like a junior mint.
Okay.
Yeah. I like.
I can't do anything fruity or gummy. Yeah. To me, that is girl candy. I just don't like it, but I also like to be misogynist.
But when I was a kid and we got Halloween candy, Smarties, right in the trash.
Oh, I love a good Smartie.
Right, that's medicine. That's not even candy to me.
I like it in the Necco wafers, just the one mint one. But also, British people are notoriously bad with food and candy.
They're very snobby when it comes to chocolate.
This is, by the way, this is a racist against British people podcast,
absolutely,
right? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We
and
purposely watched the coronation yesterday just to make fun of it.
Yeah.
But American chocolate is notoriously subpar compared to.
That is a true story, though.
But I love a good Hershey bar.
I love a good Hershey bar, but you know what I love even more than a good Hershey bar? The real Cadbury shit at Easter. Those Cadbury mini eggs at Easter.
If you were to assign
that shit is glorious.
If you were to assign a holiday of when this movie would be aired, would you say this is an Easter movie?
No, it's a Christmas movie, I think
it's an Easter movie.
I think Easter
movie.
Yeah.
I would say Easter is the more candy holiday. Yeah. I mean, all holidays now are candy holidays, Halloween, but specifically like Easter candy, I think it's an Easter movie.
It's very springy in the color scheme inside the factory. Yeah, I think it works as an Easter movie.
I guess the hero does sacrifice himself at the end for their sins.
Okay, so do we
There's a big rock that opens up that the Oompa Loompas all go into at one point.
Do we want to go into all of the children and their midsummer fates?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so let's start with who's the first one?
Augustus Gloop.
Augustus Gloop.
Augustus. Okay, first of all,
it's the first time that Willy Wonka says stop. No, police.
First of all, this child actor that they got for Augustus Gloop, not even fat.
No,
he's just a kid.
Yeah,
he's a kid actor. He's not fat. He's not chubby.
He's me after Del Taco. Yeah.
He just looks like a child.
Right. And the mother looks like Shelley Winters. So thumbs up.
In
snaps to her.
Adventure.
And they're later fucking hosing at the pancake shop or whatever they're doing, eating sausages. I don't even know what they're eating, but like and we forgot a very important part of this movie. The reporter with the antlers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sorry. Focus.
So I do also love that the actor that plays Augustus clearly does not speak English.
Oh, straight Bavarian.
Yeah.
He was down the street.
He
literally just rode his bike.
They probably dubbed all of his speaking parts.
And I would love to see it behind the scenes of him in the pipe, because how did they get that shot?
Oh man, that scene.
That looks unsafe.
Yeah.
That looks like a Raging Waters nightmare.
That makes my breath a little heavy.
Played by Michael Boliner.
Michael Bolton.
Michael Boliner, and he was from Europe, and he was from Munich.
Yeah, no surprise.
So there you go.
It's a German kid.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
You were talking about how the chocolate factory is IKEA.
You have to
to go forward. You have to go back.
You have to go forward to make your way out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Sometimes when you go to Target, there's one thing that you need, and you go get it, and then you go to the registers. I guess that's not really IKEA.
No, I think Target is an experience, and we have a friend out here in the desert who is a fancy marketing dude who's working for Target right now.
Well, tell him I hate the new layout.
And we were just talking about when he got that gig. I was like, there must have been, because Target it's like Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory.
Because
there's an aesthetic experience
and
that
also,
makes you feel good.
All Targets kind of did a big recat where they're all essentially the same floor plan now. Okay, so here's an important question: when you go in the Target, do you go straight going to clothes, or do you go right?
Never ever go to clothes.
Okay, so you go
I
right.
walk by it because they have.
You go
cute
right
t-shirts, but I
next
don't
to the registers, kind of going where all of the beauty stuff is.
No, like any good Christian, I start at the dollar bin or whatever.
Yeah, you have to start at the $1, $2, and $3 section.
Yeah, and then you go counterclockwise.
Okay,
counterclockwise.
We always do counterclockwise.
You're right.
We never go
counterclockwise.
clockwise.
You're right. Yeah,
Of any store.
Anti-clockwise. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Wait, so they end up in the chocolate room. We're at the chocolate room, and he falls in and he gets, and then true to an American, he noticed this is like a gun where he's getting getting shot out like a gun. Of course, Americans and our artillery or whatever. And then what happens? We meet the Oompa Loompas for the first time, and then she's, "Daddy, I want an Oompa Loompa."
Sure.
No, maybe I'm mixing.
She
things.
doesn't want an Oompa Loompa.
What is Veruca going to do with an Oompa Loompa?
Well, he sings that incredible song. I actually, I have a version of that song that I play on the piano.
Gene Wilder's little
Pure Imagination.
His little. Oh yeah.
It's so lovely to me, that song. You don't like that song?
That's its one Oscar nomination, is that song.
Oh, is it?
Yep. It's the original song nomination. Did not win.
Good for them. Mm-hmm. Roald Dahl wanted to cut the sad songs. He wanted to cut the mom song and maybe even Pure Imagination.
And I know that Roald Dahl had a lot of thoughts about Gene Wilder. Roald Dahl did not like Gene Wilder.
No, not at all.
Yep, not at all. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So then... what happens?
Okay, so first thing, Augustus is drinking chocolate out of the river, which does not seem sanitary.
Those scenes always used to make me the most anxious.
When he falls in.
And I was always a kid that followed the rules about stuff.
Yeah.
So all of this stuff was just anxiety. Our kids breaking rules.
Okay, but before we get to the chocolate room...
My stepdad loved to break rules. And that one of the things that I learned about him was... it doesn't hurt to ask if you can get to the front of the line, because sometimes just the audacity of just just real quick, I think I'm just going to get in here. Is that cool? And oftentimes people will just go, oh, yeah, it's very much these are not the droids you're looking for.
Right. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right about that. I think that sometimes you do need to speak up and you'll get things.
Yeah, not that I've dated my stepdad all my life over and over again until I got it right, until therapy, and then I find Michael, who does kind of look like my stepdad. Oh, God.
Jesus.
Uh-oh. Am I saying this on mic?
We can cut that. So before they get to the candy room, we get the contract, and then we get first we get the hands.
I work with context. They're strictly.
I use contracts myself. Oh, do you?
They're strictly for idiot losers or idiots. What did he say?
Coming from a car dealership, that you hope that.
But I like the way he says, I use contracts myself, like it's a novelty.
It's so good.
You use contracts,
and contracts are for suckers.
Okay.
So then they all go. Veruca's like, "Fuck you! I'm signing this. I'm going in, bitches." And then Mike signs it, and Mike TV signs it. Mike T. V.
I think that's how it's spelled.
It is spelled Teevee.
Well, I mean, Mike TV's all about branding.
Yeah. I was going to say, these kids are like definite influencers.
That's going to be his like TikTok and Instagram handle.
They are influencers because when he's watching TV in the very beginning, he's very comfortable on TV, and you can just tell they look like influencers.
Yeah,
isn't it? Isn't it so prescient?
Because all the cameras are there, and he's just like, shut up. Well, yeah, watching my stories, but he's not like, or he's just like, oh God, he's more put off by them interrupting his show than being filmed, and
then he's gonna get a gun, and he's not to your tent, son.
Yeah, and Violet too. Violet's very like, hi Cornelia, sweetie, like right into the camera.
Yeah.
She knows where her angles are. She's like, there you go, camera. Is this my camera right
here?
Sugar
and spice energy.
Yeah. Is this my camera? I think now would be a good time to take a break. Sugar and spice energy. Oh boy.
So they're breaking the rules, and you were upset. You guys were like super upset.
Oh, it always used to make me super anxious.
Yeah, you were gonna
like kids breaking rules.
Yeah.
And that's what's kind of interesting about the story is that it's just this morality play for children. Would you be the type of kid that would make it all the way through Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory?
I would have been. I was Charlie. I was trying to be such a good kid. I could totally relate. Yeah.
And Charlie didn't steal the fizzy lifting drink. Grandpa Joe pushed him to drink it. Charlie was like,
I didn't realize till last night that scene.
So after Augustus gets shot up the pipe. Augustus Gloop. After Augustus Gloop gets shot up the pipe, they get on Wonka's boat and take the journey down this crazy tunnel. Why does Willy Wonka have this? I don't know. What purpose does this serve? I don't know.
But the shit that you and I have at our houses might as well be it. I'm holding a crystal.
Chickens
right
getting their head cuts off like millipedes.
When we went to the break, Peter grabbed this book of witch stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't even care about witch stuff. But I know that I wasn't allowed to have that as a child.
Right.
So there are some old-timey nudie mags back there. Mm-hmm. There are some tarot cards over there.
Yeah.
There is... Michael was like, we need a statue. But he had someone custom make the Lionel Richie, the blind statue from the Hello video.
From the Hello video, yeah.
We have this snake thing with this storage. We have weird shit. We have a taxidermy goat it's a long story. And as gay people, we choose our families and we have weird shit. And Willy Wonka is probably not even family in that particular way.
Right.
But he's a gay icon for that reason of being someone that realized I don't need to follow the rules.
Sure.
I can just play as an adult. But he takes his work seriously. He's not completely hedonist, nor is he a grown child. That's not healthy either. But he's someone who dresses right. He is tailored.
Yes.
He's wearing purple because he likes that color. Mm-hmm. And he cares about his work. And he's obviously very successful. It's this thing of adults and queer people, we have a bit of a head start because, it's a little harder for us to procreate. I mean, Michael and I have been trying for years.
Just doesn't take.
Luckily with Delta, we got lucky the one time and I carried her naturally myself. But
Delta's the dog.
Yeah. And I think you carried at least 2 or 3 of your cats naturally to term. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
all 3 of the cats.
Yeah, so why does he have this boat? And why is there a millipede and a chicken head getting cut off?
Yeah.
Because boats are dangerous.
They are.
It's it's a movie about the real world.
And this factory is very big.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to get from one space to the next. And what better way than on
to churn your chocolate while you're doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and why not have the actual paddle go the wrong direction?
I love his little song.
Isn't it going backwards?
I love his little song that he sings.
There's no earthly way of knowing.
Oh, I was thinking about his first song.
The only pretty ring time. The only pretty ring time. Birds sing, hey ding, ring-a-ding, sweet love. That's when he's riding the little bike, I think, on the.
So this is the part when most people
start to go, what happened and what drugs am I taking?
Right.
Yeah.
This is the scene that scarred the most children.
Yeah. How are you doing with this particular scene?
I don't mind the scene. I always loved to be scared when watching movies as a kid. So this was a scene that
the millipede on the face
always very fascinated with of just how weird and fucked up it was.
I never remembered the chicken head getting cut off. I feel like I always just blinked at that time.
Is there a chicken head getting cut off?
There is.
Okay.
See, that's the thing. And it's very fast.
I never know if it's one of those things that I think that there's one, but it doesn't actually happen.
In that little documentary, it says, the guy, the voiceover, he's like, in this scene, they're actually, originally they had a chicken head getting cut off. And I was
we saw it
it's
last
still
night.
in there. What are you talking about? Are we watching the director's cut or something? But
it was there last night, but then, like I said, so I don't remember it being there.
I think there's some pretty fast cutting.
Maybe the VHS.
Well, I love that. One thing, I remember thinking this as a child, that they do an excellent job of covering actual space and ground. There are many scenes in this movie where they're coming from here to there and actually moving up or horizontally to the next place. You really feel like you're on a journey. Neverending Story does this too. They're actually, so did the Lord of the Rings. You're actually covering a lot of ground as a viewer in a sense of wow, I'm on this journey. It feels very cozy and we're doing this together, but it's also what's going to happen.
Right.
I just couldn't eat it up enough. Sorry, I don't need to keep selling this movie.
One of my favorite lines in this part is
this a freak show?
Violet Beauregard said, "What is this, a freak out?"
What is a freak out?
Such a 70s type of thing to say, isn't it?
Yes, this is an actual freak out.
Yeah.
Like, what is a freak out?
And then he screams at the end of it, and you can see the water splashing from that backwards fucking paddle
Wheel,
that those two, the not face of Oompa Loompa are putting in, getting their cardio and their steps, working real hard, getting paid in cacao. So not to call like the labor unions or whatever, but hello.
You know, it's interesting too. We start to see we see Veruca, every little thing. Oh, I want one of those. I want a boat. I want this. I want that. And you see Charlie and Grandpa Joe just like, this bitch.
These assholes.
You know, they're not kind of just like oblivious to it. Yeah. They're kind of seeing everybody.
100%.
They're us as the audience saying, "Oh, this bitch."
Yeah.
You know?
Except that the gays are just like, I'm with her. She's fierce.
We'll get
tells it like it is.
Well, that's the thing. Okay,
this is not RuPaul's Wonka race of like best. This is not RuPaul's best friend boat.
No shit, Sherlock.
So we the next one to go. The next one to go is Violet.
Yes. Okay.
Oh my God.
So she steals chewing gum that is an entire meal.
And this is the one part that we get the everlasting gobstopper. So this is the point with all of these little shitheads.
Which is unfair because how do we know that she's not going to start a nonprofit for Africa so that like everyone well, back in the day, you know how everything was like a cup of rice. I guess now I sound insensitive. Day, but anyway, keep going. So I'll shut up.
Why would anyone want chewing gum that tastes like an entire meal?
Well, I don't. You know, some people are like, I don't like sweet, I like savory, and all of us are rolling our eyes like, girl, it's not that hard of a choice. You know, you can have both. Because last night, the three of us drinking wine, watching this movie, and we had sweet and savory.
Oh, we had Cheez-Its.
No one was forcing us not to eat those salt and pepper fucking potato chips and peanut butter M&Ms. Yep. Peanut butter M&Ms, first of all. But anyways. Yeah, that chewing gum is so tacky and gross. Though.
I've never really been a big gum.
I have nightmares about my. I have these terrible nightmares where like I can't get the gum out. I ate too much of it and I can't get it out. It's giving me a panic attack right now.
I don't have strong feelings either way. Every now and then I like a good minty piece of gum, maybe on a plane.
I feel like I maybe buy a pack of gum twice a year.
No, I'm never like, I need to buy a new pack of gum right now. Gum behind the ear, don't get it.
So gross. Yeah.
Don't get it.
Are you kidding me?
That seems like a little kid thing from like fucking way.
It gets so hard too to like try to chew it again.
No,
yeah.
thank you.
So she
but her delivery explaining the flavors.
So iconic. I love this scene.
Tomato soup.
This actress is so good.
I can feel it trickling down my throat. No.
Yeah.
Denise Nickerson, R.I.P. She passed away in 2019.
Oh, may she rest.
She's so good in this scene. Mm-hmm.
Legend.
And she was. And Pete, you said she was probably the most successful working child actor of all of them. Oh, Veruca.
Well, and then so apparently, when you're in that, I think it's that scene. If you look closely, some of the little like candy machines in the background are actually made off of. There's two. There's one that it looks like slats of like wood. Kind of like wood slats. That's an old timey juicer.
Oh,
and there's another one too that's about like old timey because you know how they just needed to make up candy machines.
Yeah, there was some that looked like
you were mentioning the budget, kind of the budget constraints of this movie. This is really the set of the movie that I feel like they probably had to make the most compromises with.
Yeah,
of that, let's just get real machines and just put some sheets over them.
Yeah, the sheets.
That's the best that we can do right now with what we're working with.
Yeah.
It's so convincing, but obviously I've been convinced for years.
The
so
shape
you can't
of the everlasting gobstopper. What is that? You can't put.
It's ribbed for her pleasure.
Put that in your
is.
mouth. Yeah, that is like. It's got cogs and bits and bobs.
Yeah, it's a
choking
choking cancer.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. When Charlie told Grandpa Joe about Slugworth,
yeah,
about that this is what's going to possibly get their family out of poverty,
Right.
is if they jack this and bring it to the rival candy company. Do you think Grandpa Joe is just like, you better lock that shit down?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
You better lock that shit down.
Grab that gobstopper.
That's what Peter said too. He's like, "Oh no, we're getting the money." Yeah. Well,
Grab that gobstopper and run.
by the way,
bitch.
red flag warning: teach your kids right away. We don't keep secrets. So, like this whole Slugworth, don't tell your parents. Like this is between you and me. Like teach your kids right away. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
He immediately told Grandpa Joe.
Good.
Yep.
That was a public service announcement. I love it.
Yeah, and I learned as a child of the '80s. Anytime an adult said, "This is our little secret," I was like,
never a good sign.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Different Strokes taught me that several times.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Charlie also has the street smarts that you can really tell that this kid's been kind of on his own, but he has the wherewithal to let an adult figure know about something like that.
So we touched upon the subreddit fetishization of
blueberries.
There was always something very fascinating when she started blowing up as a kid.
She's a feeder, yeah,
Her little-
or an eater and feeder. Yeah.
her little belt popping open,
And how they like illuminate her with just a blue light, which
Yeah.
even at the time you could have thought maybe there's better technology, but whatever. Like, again, but
Do we
budget.
really want to paint this poor little girl? Let's just get out.
And this is our
let's just get out of
second
light.
Oompa Loompa song, or
it's the second
did
one.
they sing a song when they first come out?
They sang for Augustus
Okay,
when he got sucked
Because
up.
whenever a child meets its peril, these Oompa Loompas are like,
They have a song in their
we're
heart.
ready.
yeah, they have like a moral. And then okay, so now, oh, and by the way, I don't know if we talked about like Roald Dahl he wrote the script.
Well, he's
So he
credited.
wrote it-
He may have done a pass at the script.
No.
But
He did.
think-
I can tell you. I know. This was
Well-
in the documentary. He did several. He did most of the passes, and then they brought in this younger writer because he was very strict to keeping at the book, which was like unfilmable.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, this last or second to last one, we're going to bring in this young writer, and they
We
sent him
need
to his house
we
like
need to
like
scale
Norma
this back.
Desmond, like Sunset Boulevard,
Like
style.
Joe.
Yeah.
And he said, "You wait down here," and he went up to his office and left this dude just sitting, waiting for him while he read through it. And he was like, "Fine, go ahead," because he was just at this point he was so pissed that they sent this young writer over. So I think a lot of the whimsy of like maybe why we love it is because there is quite a bit. It was truly written by Roald Dahl, but it needed to be like
Punched.
yeah,
Yeah.
punched down really.
Oh yeah. That's
So she gets taken
His
off
name
to
was
get juiced.
David Seltzer, who is the uncredited writer. David Seltzer.
Oh, and you guys love seltzer. How
Seltzer.
appropriate. Yeah.
David
Is it
Seltzer.
seltzer or salsa?
Seltzer, like
I know.
what I'm drinking
That
right
was a
now.
Seinfeld
You
joke.
like your
And,
seltzers hard.
That was a
I like
Seinfeld joke.
my Seltzer hard. And David Seltzer also wrote The Omen, which makes total sense. Of that, this is from the writer of The Omen.
Okay. So she gets juiced.
She gets juiced.
And then what happens?
Before we get to Veruca, who's next, it's the fizzy lifting drink.
So here we go.
Oh, this scene always made me anxious.
It made me anxious, but the fact that this is such an inventive idea that because we all know like carbonation is delicious, and to think of like, well, if it was helium, then we would be able to float. And the way I would have dreams as a child, and only last night did I finally realize, because I had this recurring dream as a child that I could swim through the air. You know how you can fly in dreams?
Sure.
But mine was that the air was the consistency of water. And we all didn't get enough hugs in our childhood. And so the idea that we could lift off and sort of dissociate, which is like the main thing I work with now.
Right.
It was so lovely to me. And to watch it, I was like, oh, this is where it comes from. Why did I never put that together? Why have I been harassing these people to let me be on their podcast and talk about this? And then just because it shows them like pushing off against the water and like as if they're swimming up. And it is quite scary. But it's just the two of them playing together and having so much fun. And even when they're burping and coming down, it's just so lovely. Like it's such a relief the way that they land, and they have a moment away from the like judging eyes of everybody in Willy Wonka and everything. The way that the like score in the background, the strings when they're like flying south for the winter, it just Oh, it makes me so happy. I've been watching this for so many years, and I haven't put together that this is sort of the exemplary version of relief.
Sure. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like I was saying before, this is kind of what disqualifies Charlie at the end, but it wasn't even his choice. It was Grandpa Joe.
There's a cruelty in that I think is appropriate. Yeah. And also I know it's kind of granular, but like they're traveling vertically. Fizzy lifting. Right. And like lifting is such anyway, it's lovely, and you can do it on a low budget. Like we were saying, like, oh, I could never see the strings, and we watched them. We're like, oh, the strings are right there. You can see his like little britches being pulled up. But
I think
it's a pretty successful effect.
It's so lovely.
So they catch up with the group, and they are in the egg room. So this is probably my favorite scene. It's my favorite scene now. It was my favorite scene as a kid.
And
this is the best lip sync for your life.
Veruca's song.
I was going to say, Veruca, the only kid who has her own solo song.
Oh, is it?
This actress kills it too. She's so good in this scene.
I think
Charlie sings a little bit of Golden Ticket, but and poorly, but like, but adorably. Like he has an Anyway, keep going.
In the factory, she's the only child who has her own.
Veruca Salt, played by Julie Dawn Cole.
I think she was the only like professional child actor. Mm-hmm. Like really, that had like a lot of credits.
And this bitch,
and they used her.
Oh god,
Julie Dawn Cole does have a lot of credits. I mean, she's done everything from EastEnders. She's done a lot of TV.
Yeah.
So she wants this bean party, and she says, "I want a party with rooms full of laughter, 10,000 tons of ice cream." And if I don't get the things I am fucking after, I'm going to. The way that she, right there, that is Valentina.
Oh yeah,
that is a French vanilla fantasy.
She's
that
giving
is
me
a
angry
dissociative identity disorder.
Yeah.
Psychotic. That is Lady Gaga as fucking the Joker's girlfriend or whatever.
She's giving me angry twink vibes of. Okay, so Veruca Salt is that type of gay man that anything that they say, they are not wrong. That
I know. This is why we're here.
A movie that like you like, but they hate. You're wrong.
Yeah,
and I am not that type of gay person.
Let me ask a controversial question: Is this the Veruca Salt gay? She wants to watch Looking, or she doesn't like Looking?
Oh, she doesn't like
Jonathan
Looking.
Groff.
No, she doesn't like Looking. She's one of those gays.
Okay, then she is me. Okay,
she doesn't like Looking, but it's like
she likes Looking, but she likes she likes the nurse and the Latino character. She likes all the other characters except Jonathan Groff because like what fucking grown man in San Francisco hasn't seen an uncircumcised penis? Are you kidding me? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me, Jonathan Groff? Go back and have your spring fucking awakening.
Grow up.
Yeah. You and fucking Doogie Howser. No, you're not my type.
And Ben Platt.
And Ben Platt. Exactly.
Hit the road.
Yeah.
Hit the bricks.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Where are we? I forgot. I just got into
Veruca Salt just gives very bossy twink energy about her.
Yeah. Pushy bottom.
Yeah. And she's there's cellophane and there's geese, and which is, I guess it originally was the squirrels from the Johnny Depp.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's eggs in this one, and it's nuts in the Johnny Depp Tim Burton one.
It's the squirrels,
which are both great. I love squirrels. Yeah. But that bad egg and the educated educator. It's just so good.
We've talked a little bit about the Tim Burton movie, which I don't hate. I really love the two actresses that are Violet and Veruca.
100%.
One of them is
Missy Pyle's in that too.
Missy Pyle. Yeah.
One of them is
Anna Sophia Robb.
Anna Sophia Robb. I think that she's Violet. Mm-hmm. I love that Anna Sophia Robb is Robb's mother is Missy Pyle.
Yes.
That's gay culture right there.
It is. No, it is. You have to
keep your eye on the prize, Violet.
Yeah, yeah. So they make Violet more competitive. But yeah, so the whole thing with these are the geese that lay golden eggs. And she doesn't want a golden egg. She wants a goose. She wants a golden goose.
Do you know how mean
to
geese
lay
are?
Multiple golden eggs for her.
But my grandma had a farm. My grandma had geese. I was never getting close to those geese because they will peck the shit out of you.
She's gonna keep that goose in a fucking foie gras cage.
It's going to be one of those
Just
ladies
like-
with the blue nun outfits that opens the chocolates. That's going to have to take care of them.
Yeah.
and then it'll be all like scarred and cut
is-
up like
wait,
like
so-
Slugworth with his scar on his face because a geese came for him. That's probably the origin story of that scar on Slugworth's.
The golden
'cause he was
geese.
like the geese feeder. Yeah,
The golden eggs that they lay, are they chocolate or are they solid gold?
I don't know.
I think they
That's a
said
good
they
question.
were chocolate.
Because they ship them all out.
Yeah.
I think that you're led to believe that the geese are laying chocolate eggs.
Covered in gold
Mm-hmm.
foil.
These are genetically modified geese that can lay
that's the way I
chocolate
see
eggs.
this fantasy. Yeah,
Sure.
And the little scale to see if it's a good or a bad egg. The calling someone a good egg is just very like old time.
It's a very old person
like
thing.
my grandma would say. Like, oh,
It also that
it's a
whole
good egg.
mechanism, like the opposite of it, is like when Michael Jackson pops out of the ground at that old concert. Not to bring Michael Jackson back into this, but the way she like falls, because you know how like
Yeah.
pop stars have that. But I remember
Yeah.
Michael Jackson had that. He like it because they do that dong dong before that one concert. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
It was like one of them like largest Michael Jackson concerts
Yeah.
of all time, and it's like Willy Wonka coming out dong dong, and then he pops out and he just stands there, and he looks like a good egg.
I think that Michael Jackson probably had a lot of thoughts on this film, and I think he very
Yeah,
much.
I think that's
probably-
why Johnny Depp, and to his credit, chose Michael Jackson to be the inspiration for
This does strike me as a movie that Michael would have been lobbying to make.
Yeah.
We're going to remake
Yeah.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and I'm going to star in it.
I don't like doing that thing of where people say, "Oh, Mr. Rogers, he was so gentle, he must have been creepy." I
Right.
don't like that at all. You're
I've
stealing.
never,
I don't agree.
I've never bought that.
You're stealing
No.
innocence from
Yeah.
from
And
you know
humans
what
and
it is?
children.
It's just
yeah.
it's just so easy. It's low hanging fruit. It's,
Yeah.
it's that person that just like just wants you to know how clever they are.
Yeah, you have
but
to
it's
be-
not clever, and it's something that. It's never an original thought.
No.
It's something that they read on Facebook somewhere. It's like, oh, Mr. Rogers is covered in tattoos, and so is Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the makers of Willy Wonka were taking LSD. No.
Go back
none
to your
of-
cracked
none of that
article.
is true.
Naivete
And you're not
is real,
clever.
and we need to let kids be
Yeah.
naive and not try to always like be so salty about
Yeah.
everything. Although that's 100% what the three of us are doing right now.
So let's finish up Veruca scene. Julie Dawn Cole like kills it in all of this. I think this actress is so much fun to watch in this song. She looks like she's
Yeah.
having
She's the Sasha
such a
Colby
good
of the
time.
season.
It was always my favorite song and section of the movie as a kid.
Yeah.
It's great.
We
I love it
knew
all.
she was going to take the crown.
Her dress is a little Orphan Annie, but it's okay.
Her dress, it doesn't actually in the look department. Like Violet is obviously a look queen.
Who do you think would be lip syncing this on the stage of RuPaul's Drag Race? If this was like a, do you think this would be like a winning lip sync?
Jasmine Kennedy. No, let me think.
Jasmine Kennedy does.
Well,
have
obviously
a lot
Alyssa Edwards, but
Jasmine Kennedy does have a lot of like Veruca Salt energy about her.
that's a great question.
I could
Peter.
see Katya doing this song for
Okay.
some reason.
Okay. Scott.
Jasmine Kennedy is a good
How about
one.
Laganja?
Laganja, I think would be good.
Let me
That's
put out
not
there for a second. I want to say, what about Simone? What about someone? I think Simone would
be the,
really.
Simone would be the unexpected choice, but Simone is a really good lip syncer, and she's really good with lyrics too. So she would be fun.
This could be a whole other episode talking about who would lip sync. All right, let's come back to it. Can we pray on it for a second? All right, so you were talking shit
after
about
Veruca.
Mike TV's scene.
I would say I think that when I was a kid, I would get the most impatient with anything on the train thing with all of the foam and
The
bubbles
suds, yeah.
and the Mike TV stuff at the end.
I weirdly
Because I think that all the girls are gone.
I weirdly love the Wonka Wash or Hazawafinking, but I guess what I like about this is the set is so beautiful how it's all white and you could see. I love the way it's sort of set up and all of the Oompa Loompas, because this is the Oompa Loompas actually. This is the like jewel in the Oompa Loompa crown. So, and this is
They've
sort of the Scream
developed
video. This is like the most
teleportation technology.
expensive music video of all
Sure,
time,
yeah.
where it's all in this sort of
Sterile.
sterile, exactly. And all they're wearing is the little pom pom, orange pom pom on their shoes,
Yeah.
and You could see a little bit of green and orange in their hats, and everything is just, it's that screen video of like everything is soundstage.
Mm-hmm.
And they do an extended song, and this is the one that has the graphics with the words of like getting as fat as an elephant does or whatever. To me, that is the music video. That is the single.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. I mean, it's like Scott was saying, it's very Sesame Street with the words and like.
And I had never
animated.
seen it on a nice TV before. When the pandemic happened, weirdly, like everyone was scrambling because there was just a lot of really triggering, scary stuff, and so everyone wanted to talk to a therapist. And so I was like, well, things are going good for me weirdly right now because I thought it was going to ruin everything. I had to give up my office, and I thought, but the one thing I'm going to invest in is we're stuck here right now. Let me like get a TV, because I'd go to, and this is true, I would go to your house and I remember thinking how lovely it was every
the magic
time.
Screen.
I would call it the magic screen because you guys I'd never seen like a really nice, stunning television, and we would watch the drag queens, and it was like the safest of places to sit and like. And I was joking yesterday, when you guys come around, all of a sudden I have these like my references. It's like my brain can grab for like the exact reference, which we gays love our references. And when he's being transmitted through the television, the bits are colorful. I hadn't seen the colors of. They look like
You
little.
probably wouldn't have gotten that on video cassette. Watching it on a shitty TV.
I didn't. Yeah,
I remember seeing it as a kid.
Well, we didn't grow up as rich as you with your big TV.
We had that big projector TV that was like the size of a house. No, we didn't?
Okay,
we never had that. That was rich people shit.
Yeah.
But no, I know what you mean. It's a beautiful scene, and little Mike TV Paris. What is his name? Paris Thibodeau or something.
There's someone named Dodo.
Dodo is
Mike,
his mother.
Mike TV.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Mike TV's name is Paris.
And we were talking
Paris
about he
Beeman.
looks like AJ. He looks like I love how I knew exactly what AJ's name is Amber Jasmine.
Yeah.
From AJ and the Queen.
Yes.
Who is also Baby Madonna.
Baby Madonna. Yeah.
And little Paris is kind of a little baby boy Madonna.
Little Paris.
No, that's what we're talking about.
I love all of Mike TV's aesthetic of what he wears. Like
his little cowboy
outfit. Oh my god, he looks like
his little cowboy outfit.
Jesse and Woody.
I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Just I mean all of that
cool.
all of that
And he
just
just
sort
has,
of look
like-
I love.
Yeah, he has that Madonna look of these striking blue
Precocious,
eyes and dark hair, and he does have a little glimmer in his eye of it. Now I sound like Elke, Michael Ehrlich's mother. It's like, look, he has a little glimmer in his eye, and he wants to poke his brother with his finger.
My BFF was married to this, and still very close to this world famous photographer. You can Google him, Ryan Fluger with a P, who looks like that too. Just very beautiful, big, precocious eyes. A little haunted, I think he would. Photography's a little haunted too in a really beautiful way.
And Mike TV is one of my favorite deliveries in this or any movie. When he does get transported, first of all, he's just like, "Fuck this! I'm doing this." I saw how that candy bar.
All of them do. They have
went
get up
from
and go.
here
These kids
to there. I know how TV works.
Yeah,
this is not how TV works, but whatever. Gets on there, does it. Gets put on the little TV in miniature, and he says, "Am I coming in clear?"
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's British. Like they've been hanging around too long. With
we
this
were
British
talking about that too.
Or something.
How is Charlie's whole family American accents living in clearly UK? And also, are we going to talk about this business model of like, let's make enormous things that we can transport, but it'll come out very
smaller? Why to manufacture them larger?
Yeah, we're going to need to buy 100 times the sugar.
The whole idea is it's a marketing thing,
but we'll save on the shipping.
Every single time this commercial airs, you can just have the product.
This is
I don't know.
Warming. Yeah,
I don't really know how that is going to work out in the long run. If you want to,
it's not sustainable.
Make a profit on this product, but that's. I digress. But Mike TV's pretty into it.
But his little performance, am I coming in clear?
Mike TV's into being small.
He gets a little like mid-Atlantic posh when he says that.
But
too.
he doesn't care. He's
into
like,
it. Mike
going to be the most famous
Mike TV
kid.
wants to be famous, and he knows that being this little like.
And then they pop him in the purse, and Willy Wonka's swinging the purse around.
Yeah.
I love it. Everything Gene Wilder does is so choreographed and just lovely and perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. When look at these child actors. Scott and they're around our parents' age.
Yeah.
They're all born in the middle 50s.
Wow.
Most of them are
we have
actually
young parents.
Most of them are probably a few years older than my mom.
Yeah, exactly. And Paris, currently, he still has those very striking blue eyes. He doesn't have as much of that hair, but it happens.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I love present day Peter Ostrom as Charlie with the handlebar mustache.
Right. He looks he's a good looking guy. Yeah.
Love it.
I mean,
they all look so good.
I would think that all of these kids now just sort of
Well, I
work
was
the
going
con
to say,
circuit.
you know what I love about them is that they're here for the DVD commentary.
Yep.
They're here for the documentaries.
Oh, are they?
They're here
I
for
have to watch it.
all this shit. They participate in all this as a group.
Right.
Even Augustus, like German kid, like I'm sure he learned English by now, but I mean he's there for all of it, and like they're all there together. They always participate. So okay, so that's Mike's little journey, and now we're left.
And we missed just real quick with
Sure.
the Wonka wash when
Yeah.
his mom has that little dot of suds on her nose. It's very cute. And then Grandpa Joe's very grateful. He says, "The best wash I ever had. It's the best bath I ever had."
That's funny. He says best wash I've had in 20 years.
Exactly, that's
Because he
true.
was sitting in
And
that
you were talking when we
piss
watched about the smell.
infested
It smells like an old person's
bed.
home. Yeah.
And
are they? You said are they a king rat under those?
I think I read that. I read that off Letterboxd. Is underneath the bed sheets of the grandparents just like a rat king situation?
When he first gets off the bed, the sheet lifts up a little bit, and you can see just the foam. There's like the yellow foam that was on it. I was just thinking, God, even just shooting those
Not
scenes
even a
laying on that
mattress.
yellow foam, having some other old actor's foot up your ass would have been so strange.
So of the parents of the adults, I do have to say Dodo Denny is Mrs. TV. She was one of my favorites, and let me tell you why. She really gave me Alice Ghostly vibes. Who Alice Ghostly was on Esmeralda on Bewitched. Alice Ghostly was on Designing Women. She just played.
Oh, sure.
She played a lot of like.
Isn't she in Grease?
She's in Grease.
Isn't she the shop teacher in
she's the shop
Grease?
teacher
Sure.
in Grease. This is Alice. She's a very kind of like bubble-headed, like kind of scatterbrained lady, and Dodo Denny, who played Mrs. TV, she looks like her. She sounds like her. So she gave me like these Alice Ghostly vibes. So I was like, always loved that character. So she was kind of my favorite of the parents. And she was a little bit of a know-it-all, but she got things wrong a lot. Like the whole like Rachmaninoff, and it's like not Rachmaninoff. Like,
That's 110%.
yeah. So I loved her as far as like the all the parents that we saw. I did love the
she's
Shelley Winters
exasperated.
mom,
She has sort of that sorrowful look in her eye, but just I love it.
And when she picks up the little teeny Mike TV with her little fingers,
just
and
irrationally
puts it in her purse.
loyal to him.
Yeah.
And like causing all his people. I don't work with kids anymore because it's always the parents, and the parents never want to talk about where they're coming from.
Sure.
Your children are emotionally tethered to you, and all four of these parents, including Uncle Joe and codependent mom singing it at the washateria or whatever. All right, so
would you call it generational trauma?
Very trauma.
As in Jamie Lee Curtis,
Yes.
Generational trauma.
There's epigenetic. There's historical trauma. It's all. It's every type of trauma.
It's turning red. It's
it's Snosberry trauma.
It's
we are the music makers.
Everything
and the dreamers
everywhere
of the
all
dreams.
at once. It's all these movies now are
Very hot right now.
addressing
Generational
trauma and how to break the bonds.
Okay, how do you
TV.
feel about Gene Wilder yelling at Charlie at the end? I never I get why it's there. I always felt so bad for Charlie when he's yelling at him.
It's wild.
It's
and he's
rough.
smoking.
Yeah.
He's in the beginning when they say when he's like, "I'm going to pay for your tobacco now, Grandpa." Talk about trauma and dysfunction.
God. Yeah. I'm going to pay for your opium now. Bedridden Grandpa.
Yeah. This was the Sacklers put them in bed. They were all on OxyContin, oxycodone. So that's his whole monologue is, and everything's half. Everything in the
My
room.
biggest takeaway with this scene as a child was, why the fuck is everything half?
The whole it's just wild.
0 cents.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I didn't get it. Half a clock, half a calendar.
I loved it.
Half the statue.
The wallpaper was in stripes, which I guess
was
is
it?
half. The wallpaper was put down in like pieces. So
and then he starts when he says
panel was
Membo Delicatum, whatever. When he's like,
yeah.
it's so good though. He's such a good actor, and he's so weird and like whimsical.
Because it's mean.
And you're so confused. Like, why are they being so cruel to this kid? But it is the way the world is. The world is kind of cruel to kids because kids have no power.
Right.
And he was trying so hard to be good.
Do you think that it was his last big test for Charlie of I'm going to be really mean to this kid?
Yeah.
And Charlie could have said like, well, fuck this guy. I'm going to take your everlasting gobstopper and go like...
But on principle,
get
$100,000,
but he sets it on the desk.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I'm putting words on his mouth when I say I don't want it. What do you think he was doing when he did that?
He's just like, I just want to go home. Here's what all of this bullshit is with this everlasting gobstopper. I just want to go home to my family. I think what Charlie was saying. It's like, I'm just going to leave this here for this like
keep it
sad, deranged man that
you choke on it.
Was just yelling at me. Peace out.
Yeah,
because he's so pure. And you know, this is actually a moment in the Tim Burton movie that I think is really well done, especially with the performance of little Freddie Highmore. Of that, when he says, Charlie, you won. You're going to come and live with me in my factory. And when Charlie says, well, I'm going to take my family with me. And Willy Wonka's just like, nope. And the look on little Freddie Highmore's face of, well, then I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And just the performance of that little kid just breaks your heart. And then there's the whole scene of the Tim Burton movie when he tracks down Charlie and he's shining shoes. And
I can picture that.
The little performance on Freddie Highmore's face when he's talking about, well, I met Willy Wonka and he really wasn't that big of a deal. He was kind of an asshole. And just like the look on Freddie's face when he's saying that, I think is so good.
Yeah.
That's kind of the sections of the Tim Burton movie that I think people, when remembering back, kind of overlook. It's all of his performance that I think kind of makes that movie worth going back and revisiting.
And on it's both of their. They do both, and to his credit, Grandpa Joe too. Those three adults really do anchor the whole movie, and like without that, everything else is too harsh. It is very whimsical, and that's I guess like my way in every time is the whimsy and the colors and everything. But there is a sense of there's some meat. There's some richness to it. And it's right here. Like, even though it's troubling and you're like, what's going on? You are leaning in, just going, there's some humanity happening right here. There's something moral happening right here, whatever it is. And then he very gently puts his hand and he says some quote about across the desert or the what does he say?
I don't even remember.
Oh, no, he says a weary, I don't know, maybe we can Google it.
Yeah.
He says some, not allegory, but yeah, as he does all the way through. And then we go over to the glass elevator.
Yeah, kind of.
See, that's what freaked me out as a kid. The glass elevator.
The glass. Okay, so I do think this movie's ending is. I don't really know if they knew exactly how to end this movie because it's not like they were going to be making the glass elevator into an entire movie because that is a whole separate book that I don't think at the time of that we're just thrown in the glass elevator. It'll be a crazy scene.
I wonder if that book was written before or after the movie.
Oh, I don't remember. I think it was probably before. I don't know though.
That book is crazy. But yeah, I don't really care. Like what I do love about the glass elevator is again we're going to this, we're traveling vertically and there is a relief in like they kind of like you see them just sort of like sit down in the elevator and rest for a second to just look at the view and then the music and the movie's over.
And it's really when it sinks in that Charlie's life has changed for the better, that he's going to move into this chocolate factory with his family. We aren't really talking about the Oompa Loompa in the room. That there is a new Willy Wonka movie that is coming out at the end.
That's what I was wondering if that has anything.
So that I believe is a prequel.
Yeah.
That it is a young Willy Wonka starting the factory. I don't know a lot about this movie. I know that
it's Timothy Chalamet.
Okay. Millennial
I know that
Twink King is going to be playing Willy.
I know that
Willy Wonka.
Since Roald Dahl said, and you can actually see footage of him saying this, that he will never play so fast and loose with movie rights because of the experience with this. At least with James and the Giant... No, really with Matilda, James and the Giant Peach, and Fantastic Mr. Fox, the remakes or the filmed version, the adaptations are stunning and perfect.
Yeah.
They are perfect. They are, and it's hard to get something just right with a certain tone. When I watched the Matilda the musical, I couldn't believe it. The amount of actual like scientific based public information, I believe I need to look into this. I've been telling myself I'm going to Google it. When I was watching it, I was thinking there's actual attachment theory happening in the musical remake that just came out in December of whatever 2022. That was the film stage version on Netflix. That it's almost like there's a nonprofit associated with Roald Dahl like corporation that makes sure that there is content that is healthy for children. And there's an actual moment in the Matilda musical where Miss Honey actually sort of tells Matilda to be safe and never to trust someone. I don't remember exactly. It was about bullying, actually.
Okay.
And so it is lovely because it seems like they're made in with children's health in mind, even though they can be a little intense. And that James and the Giant Peach stop animation is just so stunning and beautiful. And the songs are beautiful, and they really, I don't know, because it's a weird world to capture. The BFG is another one they have been very careful.
I never saw the Spielberg BFG.
That one is probably the weirder of these.
I never really cared for the book The BFG as a kid too. So
you didn't?
Not really a movie that I sought after just because I never cared for the book as a kid. I mean, the cast of this new Wonka movie is really great. Olivia Colman, Sally Hawkins, Hugh Grant allegedly is playing an Oompa Loompa. So we'll see how that works out.
What?
It's going to be out Christmas week.
And they must have consulted with the doll estate, except that this is not like. Is there something written?
I don't think there's any. I think this is an original script inspired by Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I bet they got a lot of it from the Great Glass Elevator, because the Great Glass Elevator, I think, alludes a little bit more to the beginning of where it all comes from.
To the Wonka backstory.
Yeah, I don't know if I've read it, but it's been a long time since I've read it.
I'm assuming that he does not come from his father was a dentist, like in the Tim Burton movie. Christopher Lee plays his father.
Yeah, I didn't know that. It's just so Edward Scissorhands, that whole part. It's just so Edward Scissorhands that I'm like,
yeah.
Because Edward Lee was literally contemporaries with and the Grizzly Reaper moaning. Yeah.
So, like, as in Who from Drag Race says, we shall see Serena Chacha. We shall see.
But that's the future. Well, I think right now this has been a very intense forensic diagnosis.
I'm so glad we made it.
Jared,
through.
I'm glad that we sat
closer.
down.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe I was just in a bitchy mood when I wrote that post, that I was being a little harsh on this movie. A movie that I do like.
I mean, I
do have a background with this movie.
I was unhinged.
I do have a background with this movie. It is a movie that I like.
Unhinged.
But what I like about reflecting about it now, especially in our revisit yesterday, because we all sat down together to watch it, is I do appreciate the weird elements of the script and the weird tone issues that this director is really swinging for the fence with this movie, and he is not playing it safe.
I was when Bjork is pushing her child at the airport in her luggage in the 90s, and then there's that journalist that comes up at her with a microphone, and she turns into that polar bear, and absolutely, that was me. You were coming for my child, and it was self-defense, and it wasn't your fault. It was my fault.
This is our Full House moment where we're sitting down with.
That's what I was hoping for.
I'm DJ Tanner and you're
Danny.
And you're Danny.
I'm not.
We're having our
I'm
moment.
definitely Michelle, because it was just sort of a very young, guttural sort of place that I came from at that time.
So then, who am I? Am I like Uncle Jesse in this situation?
I know that Peter is definitely Aunt Becky. No, I don't know. I'm just shooting from the hip now, just making stuff up.
Yeah. Well,
thank you so much, Jared,
again for coming on.
This was difficult to get made this particular episode, but we did it.
I resisted, but I'm glad that we did it.
None of our wigs, none of us snatched each other's wigs.
No,
wigs are intact,
stayed firmly in place.
We were watching it. We were wearing wigs last night while we were watching some of these programming.
We were. It was a wig trading party. But this has been great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Jared.
Your analysis of these.
We will play you out with some musings of this movie. I think this movie has some beautiful songwriting in it.
Oh, okay. Well, until next time.
And then right now it starts like, you and Grandpa Joe or whatever. As long as it's not that. Don't play me out to that song.
We won't play it. Thanks so much for coming on. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. I think it's about that time to say a great big shout out to all of our wonderful patrons. A wonderful hello. Thank you so much. We love you. To all of our patrons, including Chris, Andrew, Laura, Rhett Mitch, Thomas, Dan C., Dan H., Whirly Flower Frog, Brenna, Jessa Rabbit, Lawrence, Danielle, Lisa, Alexis, Thomas, Mark, Jackson, Millie, Ted, Benny, Jermel, Melanie, Susan, JJ, Shelby, Michael, Heather, Muffy, Jamie, Drew, Genevieve, Dawn, Joshua, Emla Melly, Aaron, Jessica, Nick and Shannon, Christine, and Rufino. Thank you guys so much. Head over to patreon.com/moviesthatmadeusgay for lots of fun and additional content. Starting this very weekend, actually, let's see, today's Friday. That means tonight there's going to be a brand new season of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars. It's All-Star Season 8. And Scott and I are going to be reviewing each episode each week, and that's going to be for our patrons. First episode is going to be on the main feed, so that'll be free for everyone. But if you like it, then head over to patreon.com/moviesthatmadeusgay, and you'll be able to sign up and listen to all the bonus content that we have on there, including the new Drag Race All-Star season, plus all of our additional bonus episodes, like our Watch With Us commentary tracks. So head on over, check that out, do that. Thank you so much. We'd also love it if you would rate and review the show. Head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify if that's how you listen, and give us a 5-star rating. And you can also write us a review if you're on Apple Podcasts. All new reviews will get read on an upcoming episode. 5-star ratings and reviews help us out to get seen. They help the show get kind of spread out on all those platforms, and it just helps us a lot. And we love reading those reviews. So thank you so much if you've already posted one, and thank you in advance for writing one and posting it now. You can follow us on all the socials. We are at Movies That Made Us Gay on Instagram and Facebook, and we are at MTMUGpod on Twitter. You can also follow our personals if you like. My name's Pete. I'm at Peter Lasagna on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter, but we don't really engage that much anymore, but we're still there. Scott is Scott Youngballer on Instagram, and you can follow his Letterboxd. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. We hope to hear from you next week. Thanks. Bye.